So I've removed the panels, and as you can see, the inside after a quick wipe down is in really nice clean condition. I'm really happy with how the actual insides of these panels are looking. It doesn't look as though they've had any damage or anything like that over the years. So as I said, now it's just going to be a case of cutting down the insulation and getting it all taped into place. As you might be able to hear though, it's now decided to start chucking it down. So what I've done with the ply bulkhead that I've removed from the front, the ply was already starting to separate, so I've just used that as a little hood to try and keep me dry while I'm going to be cracking on with this. It also means that the insulation isn't getting wet at all, because that was a concern. I don't want to be putting insulation in that then might have moisture behind it. So as I say, all the boards are nice and dry, thankfully. So I'm going to get a steak knife out. I found that's one of the easiest and best ways to cut down this foil-backed insulation, just with a serrated knife, and it goes straight through it. So as I say, we'll get some measurements taken up, we'll get this board cut down, we'll get it all stuck in place and see what it looks like when it's all in. Right, so there we go, there's the driver's side fully insulated in now. I say this is all 50mm insulation, filling all of the voids, so it's pretty much filling the voids as much as they can really. So this is going to be pretty much as insulated as it can be, and that's looking nice and neat all the way around. So now it's a case of rinsing and repeating, but obviously this side does have the sliding door that I do have to contend with as well. But first things first, have a bit of a tidy out, get everything shifted over. As I say, the rain isn't really helping things, but it is what it is. So I'm going to crack on, rinse and repeat, driver's side done, let's get the passenger side done, including the sliding door. Right, so there we go guys, that is the passenger side fully insulated now as well, including the bottom half of the sliding door. I'm not insulating the top half because, as I say, I do have a window to go into that sliding door panel, but everywhere else around the bottom of the van itself is fully insulated. As you can see, all of the voids fully stuffed in with offcuts and things like that as well, and it's all sealed in with the aluminium foil tape as well. So that's both the driver's and the passenger side, rear quarters and the side panels all fully done. So now all I've got to do left is to insulate all of the roof, and I'm going to be putting jab light insulation in between all of the beams going across. So I'm just going to be cutting little strip sections that will then be getting stuck in place going in between all of the little beams going across on the roof. And then when we get some new headlining made from some fresh ply I'm going to have to go out and buy, that will also encapsulate it all, and by the time the headlining is fully carpeted and things like that as well, it'll make sure that it can't move anywhere either. But it's coming along quite nicely, and as I say, it's I managed to get pretty much all of this out of just the one sheet of insulation with a couple of offcuts from a previous job. But I did buy 2 full sheets, and hopefully I might be able to return that full sheet, we'll see. But in the meantime, as I say, that's the jab light that I've got as well for the roof lining. So I'm going to get all this cut down, get it stuck in place, and then by the end of the video we'll have a fully insulated van. So let's get cracked on and get this final little part done. Right guys, there we go, that is the installation all fully completed now. I've also gone through and insulated both of the back doors. Loads of offcuts stuffed into the bottom with a full sheet of the jab light at the top. Same on the passenger side, in the bottom that's fully stuffed in as well. I haven't insulated that top section because I am thinking of possibly putting a shower in the back doors, and if I was going to do that I might actually put a little water tank in here using a similar sort of tank that you get with the diesel heaters. Similar sort of thing as what I've done in a previous build in the VWT4 on the last build that I did on the channel. I did have a shower at the back. That was with a tailgate, but doesn't really matter, you can always make the doors work. But it was really nice having a shower, so I'm thinking leave this section open. I might be able to put a water tank in there and then I can have a shower coming off this door. But other than that, as you can see, all of the ceiling is now fully insulated with jab light. All of the walls are fully stuffed up with 50mm Recticel all the way around, and the sliding door is also as insulated as it can do. But as I say, I'm going to be fitting a window in the top section, but as you can see there, the bottom half is also fully insulated out as well. So that is how I have fully insulated out this Vauxhall Vivaro little camper van. Right, so I've got the old flooring up, as we can see there, and I've gave the original flooring, as you can see, a really good sweep down, a tidy down. I've gave it all the good hoover out as well. I've also got in and I've ground down that little bit of rust that was on the side step, and that has some rust treatment. Currently doing its stuff, and once that's dried up I'll get that painted. But that's part of the step, so it's not really going to be getting covered as part of the flooring that's getting laid down here. That will have a separate step applied to that area. So for the rest of the flooring itself, as I say, I've got some 9mm insulating boards here that go in between the original flooring and the plywood floor. I'm going to get this all laid out, cut down to shape and get it all secured down. Once that's all cut to shape and it covers pretty much the entire floor span area, we'll get the original ply back down itself, and then we'll get the safety flooring stuck down to that as well. But as I said, just looking at the flooring itself here, it's really nice condition. There's very little rust at all anywhere really, especially considering the old flooring was screwed through the floor. I've had plenty of conversions in the past where they've started to rust away where they've been screwed through, but this is, as I say, it's really good condition. I can't say the same if it would have been a Transit of the same age, but it is what it is. As I say, it's not bad, it's not bad. So let's get cracked on, let's get this insulation down, and then we can get the plywood flooring back down and get the flooring finished off. Right, and there we go guys, that is the flooring all down, fully trimmed, fully stuck down and completed now. As you can see, I'll put a little bit of trim at the very back, as well as some plastic trim to go around the side step as well. And I've also got the original plastic side step back in place with a little bit of extra flooring underneath that as well, just so it all flows and it's all very similar as well. But as you can see, it's all looking nice and neat and trimmed all the way around the arches and things like that. Now obviously all the sides are going to get built around, the ply panels are going to be going in, things like that, so all of the exact edges are all going to get covered up anyway. But as you can see, it's really nice, really flat come out as well. And I say this stuff is really hard wearing as well, so there's no concerns about accidentally standing on little things like screws or tools while you're inside the van as well. As I say, trying to puncture this stuff is extremely difficult. I won't say impossible, but it's extremely difficult just to accidentally puncture through this flooring. But that's how I've done the full flooring on this little Vauxhall Vivaro campervan conversion as we're going along. So the actual conversion is progressing quite nicely. The flooring's down, fully insulated, all the side panels are fully insulated as well. So the next job as part of the conversion is going to be carpeting all of the ply panels and making a new headlining as well, because as we can see there's currently no headliner at all. as you can see, inside I've already been carpeting all of the ply panels. I've got a new headlining all made, ready to go up onto the roof as well. It's all insulated throughout, but obviously I can't get all of this in place and I can't get all the metalwork fully carpeted until I've got the cables from the solar panel run through the roof and down behind one of the panels. And obviously that all needs doing before I put these panels secured back in the final resting place, so to speak. So what we're going to be doing is getting up on top of the roof, giving the roof a really good clean down, because I don't know when the last time this roof will have been washed and given the clean up. I'm also going to have to remove this roof rack as well. I was thinking of possibly mounting it on top of the roof rack, but it's almost pointless because then you wouldn't be able to use the roof rack. And if I left the roof rack in place and put the panel beneath it, again, if you put anything on top of the rack, it would then leave the panel completely useless, because any shade or shadow going onto a solar panel basically knocks the entire panel off completely. So instead, as I say, I'm going to be getting up, I'm going to be removing this entire rack. I don't really have any use for it. I don't have any roof boxes or anything like that, so I'll probably put this on Facebook Marketplace just to try and sell that and recoup some of the money. Then once this is fully off, and as I say, I've given all of the roof a good clean down, I'm going to be mounting this 250 watt solar panel onto the roof, and that's going to get wired up to a Victron MPPT solar controller, which will then get wired down to the AGM leisure battery.
Some kind of butterfly, baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite, don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're gentle and wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, 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 oh,
Right, so there's the panel fully mounted on the roof now, and all of the mounting brackets and nuts and bolts are fully watertight as well. Underneath the Z brackets I've had sealant between the roof and the bracket, and then in between the bolt with the washer and the bracket itself, and then on top of the bolt again it's all been smothered through and tidied up with Sikaflex sealant. And Sikaflex is basically caravan motorhome grade adhesive and sealant that is basically used in the trade. So that's all the way around on all 4 corners, so there's definitely no chance of any of these mounting points leaking through. So the last thing to do, mounting wise, is to get a little junction box mounted through, and then that will allow the cables to poke through the roof and be able to be connected up on additional wiring on the inside. So we're just going to be drilling one bigger hole for the for that grommet, and it's probably going to sit round about here as well, just so the cables can then pretty much slide straight down behind this panel. So we're going to be drilling one big hole for the grommet for the cables to pass through, as well as a couple of mounting screw holes as well, and then we'll get all the cables fed through this junction box, poked through, and then mounting wise on the top, that'll be all complete, and then there's just a little bit of wiring to do on the inside. But it's coming along nicely, and I'm quite happy and pleased with how it's progressing. So as I say, let's get this junction box mounted on and get the cables fed through. I'm going to be swapping out the front seats in the Vauxhall Vivaro, removing the single driver seat and the double passenger seat, and I'm going to be fitting in some Mazda RX8 cream leather seats in its place. And then we'll be able to get these cream leather Mazda RX8 seats mounted in, and the passenger seat will then also get mounted to a swivel base as well, so it will then be able to twist around and face into the rear of the conversion. It should be hopefully relatively simple and straightforward swap over. These seats do also have some electrics in the driver's seat. I think the passenger is fully manual apart from the heated mechanism, but the driver's seat does have electric forwards and backwards as well as heated as well. So I will be getting some power down to where the seat area is going to be, and that'll get wired into a relay so the seats can be fully adjusted while the ignition is on the vehicle. And then, as I say, the passenger side, once that's in place, that will just need an additional wire putting through for the heated mechanism if I want to do that. Right, so with the passenger seat removed, I was wondering whether there was going to be enough mount holes for a single base, but when I lift the rubber up, underneath there's lots of these little black caps, and I've just poked a hole in one of them, and it has all the original mounting holes for single seat bases as well. So there's lots of different options of where I could mount the single seat. As I say, there's a hole there, so I'm going to be moving that across, cover that one over. I'm going to uncover that one, and that will create the 4 square holes that's going to be needed for a single seat base, and then that will allow for the single passenger seat from the leather Mazda RX8 seats to be mounted in as well. Right, so there's the seat now mounted to the base, and I managed to use a lot of the original mounting holes from the base all the way down one side as well. All of the holes lined up perfectly with original holes in the seats, and to make sure that bolt for the motor itself wasn't going to be interfering, I've just drilled a little hole all the way around it just so it actually sits flush and flat. Then I've just put a couple of little extending bars going across so the other side can get fully secured in as well, and again they are fully secured down with 8mm bolts and lock-in washers as well, so they aren't going anywhere at all. So now the seat is in, I've tested all the electrics, things like that. We'll just now get it mounted back into the actual van itself, get the electrics connected up to the battery, and then we'll finally be able to get the van back on the road and be able to drive it again with the seat back in a driver's position. So let's get this mounted back in and see what it looks like. Right, so now I've got all of the ply panels fully carpeted, and I have the new headlining fully carpeted with the lights fitted in as well. Before I'm going to be fitting them in place, I'm now going to carpet all of the exposed bare metalwork where the ply panels sit against, and there's going to be a little bit of exposed metalwork along the tops, down the sides, near the back doors. Thankfully I don't have to do around the seat belt pillars. Normally on the usual VWs and Fords they're all exposed metal, but they're all behind plastic coverings in the Vivaro, so that's quite nice. Same with the bottom of the sliding door as well, that's got a full cover on already, so I probably won't carpet that, but I might carpet around where the window is going to be going in as well. I've still got a good bit of stretch carpet there on the roll. That one up there, that's the main roll itself. Lots of spare carpet there. Hopefully I should have enough to go all the way around the exposed bare metalwork, because that's the last of the carpet that I actually have off a roll that I bought quite a while ago. Hopefully I won't have to go out and buy any more, but we'll see. So first things first, I'm going to get this mask on because I'm going to be spraying the high temperature spray adhesive inside the van rather than outside where there's a lot more ventilation. So as I say, you want a really nice good filter mask when you'll be spraying this type of stuff, because as you can see on the back, it's not exactly good for your health. So make sure all the windows and doors are open, back doors as well. Then we'll get the glue sprayed on all the exposed bare metal. We'll cut strips of the stretch carpet down and spray additional glue onto the strips. Then as I say, we'll get all the strips in place. Then we'll get the ply panels up against the walls, get them secured in place, and that'll be the end of the carpeting. Now I've been out and I've got the camper glass, and if you're looking for any sort of van glass, check the links in the description below the video. That'll go out to eBay, where I bought both this glass and the fitting kit, things like that, and they offer glass for almost every make and model of van out there. Now I'm only going for a window in the one sliding door. I'm not going to be fitting windows in the rear doors or the back panel either. I just want the one window to allow that little bit of extra light into the living area of the camper van. But other than that, I want to try and keep this van relatively stealthy-ish looking. So I'm not going to go overboard and fit windows all the way around or graphics or anything like that. Exterior wise, it's going to have the solar panel on the roof, the window in the sliding door, and other than that, it's going to be pretty much a standard van on the outside. Now to fit the window itself, it should be relatively straightforward. I've fitted a number of windows in the vans before. I've already got the glass out of the box, and there's the glass ready and waiting to go in. Now to fit the glass into these doors themselves, I shut the door. Generally there's a template already inside, which is this inner skin. If we just follow this inner skin going all the way around and cut all of that out, including these two supporting braces as well, and we'll trim the little bottoms off those on both of the sections where they are overlapping. So we'll run a line going all the way around this trim, and we'll poke a few holes through so we can get the jigsaw in as well, and then we'll cut that all the way around, and then have some U trim that will also go all the way around the cut edge, just to make it look that little bit neater and tidier. And then once the window is in, that means I can finally crack on and get the rest of the sliding door fully carpeted, because as you might be able to tell, I've already been quite busy with the carpeting inside the van, but obviously I need to get the window in so I can then actually finish the carpeting by carpeting the sliding door. Right, so there we go guys, that's the fitting of the window in the sliding door fully complete now. I've now fully carpeted all the interior of the door as well, going around and putting the carpet up against the rubber seal that's going around on the inside. So that's a nice neat finish on the inside of the door. And if we go on the outside as well, we can just see how the window looks in the sliding door as well. I've taken all of the supporting tape off now as well, because it is a couple of days later after I actually fitted the window. But that window's definitely not going anywhere now. The window had 2 layers of sealant going all the way around it, just to be sure that A, it's got a really good bond, and B, it's never going to leak as well. So that's how I fitted this window into the sliding door of this lovely little Vauxhall Vivaro campervan conversion, as we're going through, converting it into a lovely little campervan. That's all of the ply panels fully carpeted. I've made some brand new headlining, as well as fitting in some LED downlights in that as well. And because the headlining had to be made from 2 strips, I've just put a bit of rubber strip in between where they join up, just to hide that little away, make it a little nicer and neater. Carpet all of the rear doors. The only parts I haven't carpeted are the plastic panels at the rear of both doors and at the bottom of the sliding door. I'm in 2 minds whether to carpet those or maybe just put a heat gun on them, just to give them a nice fresh, refreshed plastic look. If I'm going to carpet them, I'll just do that separately, though it's not really worth doing a separate video about that. But we did have a bit of rain overnight last night as well, and when I've checked all the carpet this morning, it was all nice and bone dry as well, so it shows that the carpeting around all of the rubber seals is all fine as well. But as you can see, it's all looking nice and neat on the inside as well. That's all of the metalwork done, all of the carpeting of the ply panels, and they're all screwed back in place using the plastic screw caps just to hide the screws away as well. I've also done the wheel arches, even though both wheel arches are going to get fully boxed in with the bed and the cupboard, things like that. But I figured I might as well get them all done as well, and it does add that little bit extra sound deadening just to the metal of the arches as well. I'm going to be building out the side bed that's going to have a pull-out section that's going to be running along the driver's section of the interior of the van. I've been out and I've bought plenty of wood, so I've got lots of the CLS timbers. I've got some 9mm ply. I've also already got lots of hinge work and things like that in the house as well, ready to go. Now I have been umming and ahhing on what type of layout to put in the van. I was really tempted to go with a proper metal framed rock and roll bed, the usual sort of setup that you sort of see in these vans. But when I've looked at the majority of them that are out there, you just don't really get a lot of internal space once you've got all of the cupboards running down one side, and a rock and roll bed that almost takes up the entire width of the extra space away from the cupboards. So there's very little actual room to get up, to move about, to do things, get changed, anything like that, if you go the rock and roll, standard rock and roll type route with the cupboards down the side. I was almost tempted to go for a full width bed going along the back. The width of these vans is 1.6 metres, so that's around about 5'4", something like that. But with myself being 6'2", it would have meant I would have had to been sleeping diagonally or curled up. And as I say, I'd rather just have something that you can fully stretch out in. And as I say, previous versions, I've done a side bed going down the driver's side with a cupboard here, and then with a kitchen pod, and again another cupboard on the passenger side. And going that route, it will also leave a large area around the sliding door area fully open that you can get in and out, plenty of room to get changed, possibly use a little portable toilet, things like that. It also means that there will be space in between the bed and the cupboard, so you can get things like the plywood that I've been out and got, all the CSL timbers, things like that. All that would be able to fit right in the middle between where the bed and the cupboard's going to be. Whereas if again I went the rock and roll route and there was a full cupboard down the driver's side and the rock and roll bed here, it's going to be a lot more awkward to get things like sheet materials and things like that in. Whereas the layout that I'm going to be going, they will literally slide straight down the middle, so you can still use the van as a van. going to be building out the kitchen side pod and storage cupboard that will go at the end along the passenger side of this little Vauxhall Vivaro. Now here are some of the bits that I'm going to be incorporating into the kitchen build. You can see here I've got a brand new Thetford 2-burner hob. This is a proper caravan slash campervan rated hob as well, so it's got all these pan stand secures so they can't go flying off if you're ever in a crash or anything like that. I've got a nice little small sink that will fit into the kitchen pod quite nicely as well, and I'll have all that drained off into a fresh water and a wastewater tank that will be stored underneath it. And I've also got a 12-volt little compressor fridge. This is a 50-litre fridge that has an LG compressor that's inside it as well. So this is all going to get incorporated into the actual kitchen pod, and then at the back there's also going to be a little storage cupboard area as well. Now if you're after any of the bits that I'm going to be fitting in this little kitchen pod build, check the links in the description below the video, and that will go out to eBay, where I bought pretty much most of the items that are going to be going into this campervan conversion. Some people like Amazon, some people like going to specific stores. I've always been an eBay person myself, so that's where all of my general links for any of the items that I use go out to. Now as you can see, I've already started building out the bed for the sleeping section, but I also need the kitchen pod area built out because part of the bed is going to flip over when it's going to be extended out into almost double width, and that will actually rest on part of the kitchen pod. So I do need the kitchen pod built just so the bed can actually flip out and I can finish off skinning out the bed as well. Now to build the kitchen pod area, it's mainly going to be constructed just with CLS timbers, just your general 2x4 type stuff, and then it's going to be lined out with this 6mm ply that is basically caravan grade ply lining. This has like a plastic wood effect type coating across it to make sure that not only is it watertight, but it gives a nice lovely little wood effect finish to it as well. So that's what I'm going to be skinning the entire kitchen pod and cupboard build area with, and then we're using some of the offcuts as well, and then also going to use that for some of the cupboard areas that's going to be covering over the storage area of the bed as well.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. Sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Right guys, so now the driver's seat's in. It's actually a few weeks later, but I've now managed to be able to source a second driver's single seat base that's going to be mounted in the passenger side. I've also got a brand new swivel plate for the base itself, and that will allow the seat to twist all the way around. But as you can see, the conversion's actually been cracking on in the meantime while I've been trying to source a decent priced seat base and waiting for the swivel to come along. So there's going to be plenty more videos to be coming, as you can see, but as now we're going to be getting the passenger seat mounted on. First of all, we're going to get the swivel base mounted onto the base, then obviously the seat's then going to get mounted onto the swivel itself. Because this is a base that's made specifically for the TVPs, the Trafix, Vivaro, Primastar models, it should just bolt directly to the base itself without any sort of modification. And then, just like I did with the driver's seat, if that needs a little bit of mods just to get that mounted onto the swivel, we'll do that. It'll probably need it, similar to what the driver's seat needed, but it didn't take much. So let's get cracked on, get the swivel out, mount it onto the base. And this base can also get mounted in a few different places. If we peel this up, all of these little black marks are potential mounting holes, just like that one. And this base lines up with that particular hole, so we're going to have to just take that tape off and just reveal the hole and cover that one up, and drill a little hole in there as well for the little stands to go through. Right, so there we go guys, that's the passenger seat now fitted in, as well as the drivers that I did earlier on in the video. The passenger seat is fitted and mounted onto the brand new Vivaro specific swivel base that I ordered from Clear Cut Conversions. So with the seat fully fitted now, as I say, there's no electrics on the passenger side, this is just all a manual. So you've got your little lever there for your backrest forwards and backwards, and you've got your little lever under there for your forwards and backwards for the seat itself. For the swivel itself, there's just a little lever here, pull the lever and that just frees the seat, and as you can see, the seat freely swivels all the way around. It's not catching on anything. And there we go, that's now facing the interior of the conversion. and as you can see, it just swivels straight back in place as well, so it's not catching on anything, and it locks straight back into place as well. And then just to unlatch it again, as I say, it's just that little lever, and it freely swivels back round again. I'm going to be fitting in a Chinese diesel heater into the rear of the conversion area, just to add that added warmth, especially for those colder winter nights that are starting to encroach onto us at the moment. Now, I've fitted a number of these Chinese diesel heaters before, and I was hoping to do a similar sort of thing as I did on my last conversion in a VW T4, where I've built very similar sort of kitchen units, and in the T4 I managed to get the heater in the bottom of that rear end unit. But having been underneath the van, there's a lot of suspension components, this, that, the other, where I would be wanting to drill the holes through for the heater holes. So there's not quite enough space in that rear section. So instead I'm going to be fitting it under the bed itself, near where I've got the electronics and the batteries and things like that, but it's all going to get boxed in separately. I'll probably do a little surround going around the heater just so it's basically boxed in on its own as well. Right, and a second run of purging through the fuel system. It's now fully purged, and this is now actually working now. That's actually giving out some really nice warm air. You can see on the control unit, that's the inner temperature of the heater, so you can see that's climbing up 86 degrees and so. And I've got the thermostat set to 20 degrees, so if it was left to run just to reach a temperature, it will cut off at 20. But that's getting some really nice warm air coming out of there now. And then if we go around to the exhaust as well, you can hear the exhaust that's working as well. And again, that's really hot air that's coming out of that exhaust. So that's a fully functional, fully working, fully wired up, fully tested Chinese diesel heater fitted into this little Vauxhall Vivaro campervan. Right guys, so there we go. That is the kitchen pod and the rear storage cupboards fully complete, fully constructed. Everything's all fitted in it now as well, and pretty much everything's all fired up and tested and working. So rather than going the usual standard Dometic / Smev combined sink and hob unit, I've gone for a totally different sort of layout. I've gone for a Thetford Topline 2-burner gas hob. That's got an electric ignition on it as well, that's wired all the way through to the fuse board. These are not the cheapest of the available hobs, the Topline Thetford stuff, but it just looks a little bit nicer and different compared to the standard combined sink and hob units that most of the campervans out there do have. Now to go along with the hob, it's a separate sink with the tap and the submersible pump. Again, that's all 12 volt, that's wired in, and that has a submersible pump that's going down, and that's going to be fed by the 2 water tanks that are underneath there. One of the tanks is going to be for wastewater, the other one's going to be for fresh water. And again, that's just got the submersible pump going up to the tap, and that's going to be providing plenty of fresh water for as and when you need any water running in. I've also fitted in a 12-volt compressor fridge, brand new compressor fridge. Well, I say brand new, but everything that's gone into this build pretty much so far, apart from the Mazda seats, has been pretty much brand new all the way throughout. I say this is a brand new Adventurer 12-volt compressor fridge, and if you're after any of the bits that are fitted in this conversion, whether that's the fridge, the hob, sink, any of the units, anything like that, check the links in the description beneath the video, and that'll go out to eBay, where I bought pretty much most of the items that have gone into this conversion, including everything from the fridge, the hob, the sink, the tap, even daft things like the plastic trim that goes around all of the edges. That itself wasn't cheap, because I've had to order quite a lot to go around all of the edges. You're talking over 100–150 pounds worth just of plastic trim, but it certainly does make the edges look a hell of a lot nicer and neater, rather than just having rough cut edges that are on display. So as you can see here, we've got a nice big an Adventurer 12-volt fridge as well. I said that does have a freezer section at the top, but that is fully removable, so you can take that out, and that just turns it into an extra large fridge rather than a fridge with a freezer attachment as well. That just slides straight back in, and with that in place, that just gives that little freezer compartment. But as you can see, it's still even got all the tape on all of the little nooks and crannies inside it, because as I say, this is brand new. It's been tested and fired up just to make sure it's working, but it hasn't actually been used to cool down any food or anything like that. Just like the hob, brand new, it hasn't cooked any food or anything like that, but it's all been tested, working and fired up. Now, storage wise, with the storage rear units as well, there's loads of storage in this now. I say this kitchen pod area houses two 25-litre water tanks underneath the sink. Obviously the sink does have a tap that folds up and down as and when needed as well. We have a gas bottle storage cupboard with a dropout hole. I do need to put a little vent just on the dropout hole just to tidy that over as well. But the gas bottle also has a retainer bracket as well, just so the bottle itself can't really go anywhere once that's in place. The bottle does need swapping over though, because that's on pretty much the last dregs of the gas that's in that bottle. Then above that we have a nice large storage unit with two shelves in there, so that will be used for food and things like that. And then on the opposite side we have three storage unit cupboards. This one has a bit of the electrics in, that's where the dimmer switch for the lights is going to be, things like that. But again, that's a nice big deep storage unit with another two slightly smaller, slightly thinner units beneath it as well. Now I was planning on putting the diesel heater in this bottom one, but it just wouldn't fit with all of these suspension components underneath the van, so that's just turned into basically yet another little storage cupboard as well. But with both sides of the storage cupboards in place, there's no shortage of storage in this vehicle, especially with all of the additional storage that's underneath the conversion as well, underneath the bed. Right guys, so there we go, that's the sofa bed now fully completed. I've done some upholstery off camera. I didn't bother filming this because at the end of the day it's just cutting down the mattress and then me sat at the sewing machine for a couple of hours. But as you can see, both of the cushions are now fully upholstered. I went out and bought a 4-inch memory foam mattress. I've cut it to the width of the main sofa bed seating area section, and the offcut is pretty much the perfect width to cover in where the extension comes down when the bed's fully extended, if it was going to be extended out as well. The material I've used is like a suede type beige coloured fabric. So as you can see, when I'm putting, like, just swimming my hand across it there, you can see all the way the different fabric lines out, similar, very very similar to a suede type material. I don't think it is suede just because of the price I paid for it. It was around about £8 a metre, something like that. But it looks really really nice. It feels really really nice to the touch. It's nice and soft. And I say, with that little bit of suede effect as well, if you wanted to, you could even play noughts and crosses type thing, and then it just swipes straight off as well. But I say, I'm really happy and pleased with how this has come out. I've done both of the cushion covers fully removable as well, so as you can see on the underside there, they have full length zips going all the way along, so if there was any ever accidents, any spillages, anything like that, or even if you just wanted to freshen up the cushion covers, both of them just fully unzip, and then they can be fully washed if they wanted to be, and then you just put the mattresses back in, zip it back up, and away you go. Right, so there we go. As you can see, there's the bed in the extended form factor of it, and that extends the bed to just around about 1 metre wide, just a little bit wider I think. And as I say, this is over 6 feet long as well. I do build these beds to accommodate myself, and with myself being nearly 6'3" tall, I always make sure that all of these beds are at least capable of sleeping myself, and if they can sleep myself, they should be able to sleep pretty much anybody. And as you can see, the extension sits on these bars on the kitchen area, so that they're not going to go anywhere at all. And if I just sit on the extension rather than the frame itself, bounce up and down, you can see again, it's fully secure, fully solid. It's not going to be going anywhere, but this would only be weight bearing during the night time, because obviously during the daytime it will be put back into the sofa bed position, just for more living room area as well. You can see at the front section, nice big chunky table leg there as well, just to make sure that this top corner can't go anywhere. But again, I can just sit in this corner as well, and again, it's not going anywhere, it's nice and secure and solid as well. Now a very, very quick reversal, you just move the cushions back up into place and flip the extension back, and then it's back straight into the sofa bed section. And it's just that quick and easy, literally seconds to put it up or take it back down from the sofa bed into a bed and back again. Tuck the leg away, and then that can't go anywhere as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can flip the front section up as well, just for easier access into some of the storage. So you've either got flip up access, or you can flip the front panels down as well, and that goes on both sides. And the amount of storage that's underneath the bed as well, combined with the rest of the storage that's in this van, I don't think anybody's ever going to run out of storage, put it that way. So let me know what you think of the sofa bed build in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button as well. There's always going to be future projects coming as we're drawing towards the end of this Vauxhall Vivaro campervan conversion. Still going to be a couple of little roundup videos to come on this, but as I say, conversion wise, job wise, that's pretty much all of the big jobs all ticked off, all done, everything's built, constructed, and it's just a couple of small little tidy up jobs that I've got left to do that I'll probably do off camera and maybe include in a little roundup video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you like this type of sofa bed, whether you prefer the rock and roll type beds instead, or something completely different as well, maybe the U-shaped at the rear of the van, those type of sofa bed builds as well. Let me know what you think. Consider giving the video a good old thumbs up, and if you're new here as well, as I say, consider subscribing, because there's going to be plenty more projects to come in the future as they come along. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on one of the future videos coming up on the channel. Thanks for watching, and cheers.